Good evening. We are here tonight to start playing Troika in the setting of Barrow Keep, which is Barrow Keep is a setting that was devised by Richard Ruane and came out on Zine Quest. Troika is a role-playing game that I think it kind of bills itself as a kind of fantasy role-playing game that is drawing upon an older game called Advanced Fighting Fantasy. And what we're going to be doing tonight is learning a little bit about that game and a little bit about the setting and doing some character generation. This is being done as part of the Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing game community. And if you happen to be coming across this recording and are kind of interested, as my cat wags its tail over the camera, you can go to gauntlet-rpg.com on the internet and find all sorts of interesting tidbits and information about this community. We have an active calendar where we play a lot of games. We have some podcasts. We have a monthly zine called Codex that comes out, and we have all sorts of player resources and aids for players as well as people who run games. So definitely I encourage you to check it out. We're going to just start off by going around the virtual table, as it were, and I'm just going to do this. I'm looking at my screen, and I'm just going to kind of go in clockwise order, and that will start us off with Dan. Actually, I should say my name is Robbie Borth. I use the pronouns he, him. I think I've been with the Gauntlet about 3 years now. I've been playing role-playing games for a long time, all the way since like high school, off and on. But past few years, I've been pretty active playing games, and also like to occasionally run games as well. So Dan, why don't you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dan. I use he, them pronouns. I'm a technical theater educator in North Texas. I've been on the Gauntlet, I think, 2 years now, and have been playing role-playing games ever since my older brother made me put away my G.I. Joes and come roll dice with him.
Okay. And Joe?
Hey, everybody. My name's Joe. I use he, him pronouns. I've been on the Gauntlet for a few years now, kind of off and on, but I've finally jumped in and am really enjoying it. I've been role-playing ever since my best friend told me to put down my G.I. Joes and said, hey, come play this. Come be a paladin instead.
Yeah. And Kyle?
Hi, I'm Kyle, he, they. I've been playing RPGs a while. I don't recall exactly.
Okay. And you've been on the Gauntlet for a little while, I think. It seems like
a year or two now, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Because I can't remember. I think we've played a few games together, and yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to go. I have many cats, but my white cat in particular seems to really like role-playing games. So she's making a pest of herself.
Is there anything more game master than having a white cat in your lap and just stroking it? Yes, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, I'll keep her in the wings until the appropriate moment for her to make her appearance. Okay, and John.
Hey, I'm John. I use he, him pronouns. I've been playing with Gauntlet for about a year and a half now, and been playing role-playing games for, I'd say about 5 years at this point. I found the Gauntlet when, I started getting an itch for something besides D&D, and, was fortunate to find a community of people interested in story games, and so it's been a great place to try new systems like Troika, which I've yet to play, but I'm really excited to try out.
Okay. So I'm going to start by going through CAPS, which stands for Concept, aim, tone, subject matter, and then talk about some of the safety tools that we'll be using, and then we'll dive into character creation. So, you know, what I'm hoping to do with this series is bring together the rules that are provided by Troika, which is, I would describe it as a pretty streamlined set of rules for a role-playing game. And then we're going to use the setting that is provided by Barrow Keep, and also the character generation setup that's provided by Barrow Keep. So Barrow Keep is a kind of setting that came out in this zine, and Richard, who wrote the setting, has a kind of character generation system, and he's written that so that he has, you know, the system set up for Troika, and then he also has it set up for some other role-playing games as well. So depending on, you know, which rule system people want to use, they can kind of, you know, pick the packet that fits their rule system. And we won't really get into this tonight, but I also have another zine called Dungeons and Dilemmas, which is a zine about, like, you know, kind of a smart way of devising dungeons. And so I'm you know, hopefully going to kind of, at some point, our characters may be going into a dungeon, and I'll use that term in a very flexible, loose way, some type of structure or something like that, where I'm going to try to maybe import some of the ideas from that book, which is really a book about how to design you know, kind of effective, engaging, intense dungeon experiences. So that's the concept. The aim of our session tonight is mainly going to be on the kind of character generation, world building, get a little understanding of the rule set that we'll be using. The tone. The tone, I think we will, if we have to put a kind of rating, a film rating on it, I would say like a PG-13 rating that we would be looking for. The Barrow Keep setting, you know, has, you know, elements of kind of intrigue, kind of courtly intrigue that are in the mix, along with kind of an idea of you know, some element of fantasy. I wouldn't say it's like heroic fantasy, but it's a kind of setting where the characters are designed to be young adults who are kind of growing up in a world that has adults kind of backstabbing each other sometimes, you know, kind of being involved in various kinds of shenanigans that the young adults are kind of starting to really get a handle on, and also kind of like finding themselves having to kind of step up to the plate now, right, to kind of take some you know, take some matters into their own hands, right, and kind of deal with possibly some serious issues and problems that the adults are either not effectively dealing with or are unaware of. What else I would say about subject matter is that the Barrow Keep is a kind of curious combination of kind of young adult fantasy with some low steampunk elements to it. So there are airships. I just saw my camera disappear. See if this has been happening to me. I might go see if I can get that fixed. I'm going to continue on right now, but maybe during the break I'll see if I can bring my camera back on. But yeah, it has some kind of steampunk elements like airships and you know, trains that are run by steam engines and things like that. But I would say it's a very toned down steampunk. You know, maybe turned down to a kind of 5 middle grade level instead of like a full 10 steampunk. Okay, but yeah, that's a kind of quick little overview of what we will be dealing with. If you open up your character keeper and there's a tab, safety and resources. And so I want to talk about some of the safety tools that we will be using. First of all, the X card. If at any point during the course of play, something happens or we start entering some territory that is going to make the game unpleasant for you or unsafe for you, the X card is something you are encouraged to use. And to activate the X card, you can say X card. You can hold your arms in front of you in the form of an X. You can type X card in the chat. So any of those is appropriate. With the safety tools, I would also, just say that everybody should be in on the safety tools. So like if like somebody is using the X card and I'm kind of busy looking at something else on my screen, but you see it, please, kind of alert us to the fact, okay, the X card. With the X card, you don't need to explain why you are using it. If we ask questions, it'll be simply to make us clear as to what it is that we should be avoiding, and we immediately stop, take a couple steps backwards, and kind of head into a different direction to, avoid what is being unpleasant or unsafe. We also have lines and veils. And if you go to that character tab, I have the red area for the line. So if something is established as a line, that would be excluded from play. So that would be a theme or a topic that we would just simply not deal with during play. The yellow section would be veils. So those would be items where if an item is listed as a veil, it's something that could be mentioned in the game, but it will be something that will be in the wings. It won't take center stage. We won't describe it. Something that could be mentioned, but it won't be, we won't kind of go into, the details or, specific imagery or whatever, right? It'll just be something that is kind of sitting off in the wings. And then I also add like this green area. Green light would be anything that you really are interested in seeing put into play, something that you're kind of actively, And what I would say right now is if you would like to go on and type in any lines and veils, and if there is anything right off the bat where you say, oh yeah, I'm really kind of interested in I don't know, flying around in one of those airships that you just mentioned or something like that, go on and put those in the lines and veils and green light areas. I would also say that this is a living document, so that, right, if something doesn't come to your mind right now, but in the course of play at some point you're saying, oh, I really would like to add that as a line or a veil, you're always encouraged to add to this. And I also, it's hard to say right now whether this would be something that we would get into, but really it's going to depend on the choices that the characters make and kind of the player interest. But I also have the PC to NPC romance question mark or PC to PC romance. Actually, I have character name. Let me just go on and change that. We'll just say player name. So if you want to put your name, and then you can just put an X under your preference. So in other words, you know, if you have you know, your name and under PC to NPC romance, and you've checked off yes, that you would be saying, oh, I'm okay if my character perhaps has some type of romance going with a non-player character. And then the PC to PC would be the question of whether you are okay with your player character having a romance potentially with another player character. And there's a, you know, yes, and there's a no, and there's an ask first with those. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the lines and veils in a second, but just you know, if there's anything else that you want to add there right now, please feel free to do so. I'm just going to talk about one last safety tool, which is the open table policy, which is a policy that if at any point during the course of the game you need to leave, you are certainly free and encouraged to do so. I mean, sometimes emergencies come up, or something else is kind of going on where it's just like I need to kind of put the game aside, and you're always free to do so. If you are leaving, and if you can give us some information as to whether you think you will or will not be back, that is useful. But if the circumstance is such that you can't do that, then don't worry about it, right? I mean, feel free to leave the table, and you know, the other players will convene and kind of talk about what we want to do at that point. Okay, and so right now, in terms of our lines and veils, we have a line on sexual assault, and veils up on self-harm, suicide, and torture by PCs. And so, as I say, you know, if at any point you want to continue to add to that list, feel free, and we'll revisit this quickly at the beginning of each of our upcoming sessions, just so that everybody is reminded of what the lines and veils are. Okay, so with that, if you turn to the PC tab, oh, and I should say that with this character keeper, I am borrowing this from the Play Aids folder that the Gauntlet has. So I kind of looked it over, and it seemed like it would work for us. So we will see. But let me maybe briefly explain some of the basic principles of Troika. So as we kind of get into this, we kind of understand what the ramifications of some of these things might be in terms of the play of the game. So with character creation, you have three basic attributes: skill, stamina, and luck. Those are the three basic attributes that you deal with. And I'm going to start with, I'll go in and start with skill. So you'll have you know, your character, you're going to roll one three-sided die, meaning everything is a six-sided die, but for a three-sided, you just you know, to roll your six-sided die and divide it in half, right? 1 and 2 would be a 1, 2, 3 and 4 would be a 3. I mean a 2, and then 5 and 6 would be a 3. And then you're going to have advanced skills that your character will have, And like the basic, if you are trying to employ your advanced skill, you're going to add your skill score to any advanced skill bonuses that you have. You're going to roll 2 6-sided dice, and you're going to try to roll equal to or under that score. Okay, it's kind of a roll under thing for skills, except in combat situations. And in combat situations, you want to roll high. Okay, so in a combat situation, you're going to roll 2 6-sided dice, and you're going to try to roll ultimately higher than the person or entity that you are fighting. And you may have advanced skills that will give you bonuses to that as well. Like you might have sword fighting, or you might have some type of archery skill or something along those lines that would get kind of added to it. And with the combat, you and your opponent roll, and the higher total scores the hit, and then there's a chart that you roll to calculate the damage. It is kind of curious because even if you are the one who are attacking somebody, if they get the higher roll, they are going to be doing damage to you. So it then means that if a number of people were attacking one person, and that one person was rolling really well, they could actually be dishing out quite a bit of damage, even though everybody else was, being aggressive towards them, right? And then there is the luck score, and with luck, that's the attribute that is most likely to fluctuate in the course of a game. And there are different ways that you can use luck. Like if you are in combat and you tie with your opponent, you can test your luck, which again is trying to kind of roll under your luck score and if you end up rolling, being lucky and rolling under your luck, you can actually score the hit. You can break the tie that way. And if at some point you just feel like you are, it says you can test your luck and reduce, every time you test your luck, you reduce your luck score by 1. And you can, with this, if you feel like, fate is swiping at you, something has just happened that it seems like fate is proving to be unkind, you can ask for a test your luck roll. And by successfully making the roll, you can kind of evade what seems to be some type of fated event, right? That is unhappy for you. That seems to be very flexible, though, right? And it's kind of up to you as to whether you want to test your luck. Stamina, among other things, stamina is a mark of your character's health, and if you in the course of play end up getting hurt or injured and see your stamina going down, and if it's ever reduced to 0, you are in danger of dying and must be healed to survive. And if it's reduced to less than 0, you are dead. And there is an optional rule, luck versus death. So if and I'll go on and say we'll exercise this option that if you are unlucky and find your stamina less than 0 and you have some luck so that you could test your luck, that would be a potential way to evade death by making a successful luck roll. Okay, and so that's the basic 3 attributes and a kind of basic idea of how they operate. When you look at the character keeper, it also has a place for weapons. It'll have a place for you to kind of list your skill and your rank. And you'll see in that advanced skill area, you have these check boxes. So if you are successful in using a skill, you can then check that box, and at the end of the session, there's a way of checking to see whether you can advance that skill. Okay. Oh, and then it has your inventory, and you do need to give. This I think would probably come into more play if we are doing some type of dungeon adventure later on. But you need to kind of give thought to where an item in your inventory is on the list, because if it's not in your hand and you suddenly say, oh, I want to use this object, and it's really, you may be under some intense time pressure, the higher it is on the list, the more likely it's going to be for you to kind of quickly get it in hand. Okay. But if you say, oh, I need, I don't know, I need my pistol, and I wasn't really paying attention, and I put it way down on the list, and I really need it now really fast, you have to kind of roll to see if you're able to kind of quickly get it in hand or not. And so, as I say, the higher it is on the list, the more ready to hand it is. I don't think that will come in play tonight, but we'll kind of revisit that later. Oh, and I should say that, okay, so as we go through character generation, there are, like with the advanced skills, there are going to be some that are part of the Troika rulebook, but he also will have some advanced skills that will be part of characters that aren't listed in the rulebook. But I think that the name of the skill will be, self-explanatory. This is not, I don't think, in there. But for example, maybe it's tightrope walking, right? It'd be pretty self-explanatory. Situations where tightrope walking might be used, and probably useful for things other than just strictly tight ropes, but kind of doing kind of agile balancing things, right? Would be appropriate situations where that would be used. Okay, so let me pause and see if there are any questions at the outset here. Okay, if not, then let's go on and figure out which playbooks people would like to use. The playbook idea here, I mean, if you played Apocalypse World or Powered by the Apocalypse game, the playbook idea is kind of there. I would say that for the way it's being used in Barrow Keep, there's a game called Beyond the Wall, which has it's a kind of OSR game. It's a kind of hearth fantasy setting, and it uses playbooks like this, where you roll up some basic attributes, but then in the course of creating your characters, you kind of gain some added abilities and attributes, and also along with that, you're getting more information about this character that you're going to be playing. I believe somebody was mentioning the wolf and the revenant as things. That was Joe.
That was me.
Okay. Was one of those more preferential to you than the other, or?
Yes, looking it over now, I think the Revenant is the direction I want to lean in.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. And then I think somebody else had written.
Yes, I was interested in the hostage or the lost familiar.
Okay. And does either of those have greater appeal, or?
Lost familiar, I guess, if that works for everyone else. Cool.
Okay. All right. And so John and Dan, anything appealing, or if you have any questions about these others? You have the consort spy, the hostage, the wolf.
I am interested in the Wielder.
The Wielder. Okay.
I am curious about, I noticed like lots of these playbooks reference I don't know if it's Archon or Archon.
Yes.
Which I gather is probably some setting element, but I'm kind of assuming we'll hear more about that person later.
Yeah, we will. So this keep that you all are residing in or around is the keep of an Archon. An Archon, that's kind of a odd, archaic term. I think, an Archon in this setting would be something like, kind of a powerful aristocrat, something along the lines of a lord or a duke, right, who is kind of in charge of the keep and the surroundings. And there's a kind of kind of aristocratic feudal feel to, right, the way that this world is set up. And this Archon would not be the only Archon in the world, right? I mean, that there would be kind of other Archons and obviously other aristocrats in nearby areas that may be allies or maybe enemies of this Archon. And so, yeah, you're going to have an Archon, and there is going to be the Archon's consort, and there is going to be an heir for the Archon. Those characters, those are always part of the Barrow Keep setting. We're going to hopefully tonight find out a little bit more about those three characters. They, by and large, kind of tend to be off in the wings. They're kind of like shadowy figures that, they aren't necessarily ones that you would be spending a lot of time directly interacting with. But, you would always kind of know that, right, that the Archon is the one that's in charge. And there's, depending on how we roll things out, the Archon's relationship with the consort may be romantic, but it also may be more of a political kind of arrangement. And the same thing with the heir, right? The heir is not necessarily a beloved offspring of the Archon or the consort, or maybe it is, but we'll have to find out. Yeah. All right, and so Dan, anything that looks
I'm
appealing?
going to take the hostage.
The hostage. Okay. All right. So if you want to, then you can go on and claim a column of the character keeper, and you can also, you know, at the beginning, you're going to determine your character's skill, stamina, and luck as normal. So, and I do have, you know, for this, I don't mind if you have dice in front of you that you want to use. I have a, if you go to the Safety and Resources tab, there's a role for your party link, so you can use that. If you want to use Google Dice, that's okay as well. So any way you want to roll these is fine with me. So for, you know, in this one, each one is slightly different in terms of how you get the, so your skill, you're going to roll a three-sided dice, a three-sided die, and add 3 to it. And for stamina, you're going to roll 2 6-sided dice and add 12. And for luck, you're going to roll a 6-sided dice and add 6. So again, skill, you roll a 3-sided die and add 3. With stamina, you roll 2 6-sided dice and add 12. And for luck, you roll a 6-sided die and add 6 to it. And then your you know, for names, it has suggested names, so you can use one of those or invent your own. It does with I don't know that with the normal troika that age is a typical thing, but I do feel like you know, somewhere we should put your character's age. Although with some of them, I guess the Lost Familiar and the Revenant don't have an age. Or, well, like the Revenant is actually quite old, right? Almost a century ago. You know, you were assassinated. But yeah, for the Wielder and the hostage, it would be good somewhere to put the age. And you have some equipment, and you could go on and list that in your inventory. And for a lot of the characters, there are other things that don't necessarily need to be part of your inventory, but in the character sheet, it'll say life at the keep, and we'll say, you know, if you ever need these types of things, and you know, I think we can be flexible with that, right? I mean, like it says for the hostage, you know, you can usually find lanterns, lamps, ropes, torches, or candles, standard books, and you know, I would also just say ordinary objects that we would imagine to be, you know, around a keep, right? That you would have access to. And you also will start off, even before kind of getting into the charts, you'll have some advanced skills and spells that you can go on and list. Usually, well, it could be a 2 ranking or a 1 ranking is how things start off. And in the course of kind of rolling on these charts, which we'll get to in a second, you know, if you start off with, let's say, 1 sword fighting, but then you roll on a chart and you get +1 sword fighting, you would just now take it to a 2 level. Okay. And the way I would like to do this, this is what Beyond the Wall suggests, which I think has, when I played Beyond the Wall, it's worked out well, is we'll go on and just take turns rolling on the charts. And if at some point you don't like a roll, you can say, I don't like that roll, and you can choose freely something else on that chart, but you can only do that once. Okay. So you get a one-time deal where, you can say, no, I want to ignore that, and I'm going to specifically choose this one from the chart. Okay.
And that's just to clarify, that's one time for each. That's one time for each chart, or that's one time for all of the charts?
One time for all of the charts.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So give you 1 second and we'll start pulling up on the charts. And I like to do this together because, like, some of the, well, there's one of them specifically at the end that will establish a relationship with another character. And it's also just kind of good, to give everybody a sense of, like, who is this kind of character that's coming into being, to kind of work through these together. Let me see. Right. All right. So we have the Lost Familiar, Cross, the Revenant, and Sylph, the Wielder, Casa, and the Hostage, Kieran. I'm going to work. Maybe we'll do it this. We'll kind of zigzag it across the character keeper order. So we'll start. We'll start with the Lost Familiar and work our way across. But then, Kieran, you'll, like, for the second chart, you'll lead us off with that, and we'll kind of take it back right to left at that point. So, Kyle, you want to roll a d6 and we'll see what you come up with on the first.
Sure. I got a 2.
So who was the first sorcerer who called you from the world below? And it was a former Archon with arcane training. Okay. And that gives you a spell, Mirror Cells. Yeah, so you and the Revenant have been around for a little while. Okay. And let's go next to the Revenant. If you want to roll on the chart.
Absolutely. Though no one live remembers, what were you known for in life? Mischief. Whenever something was afoot, you were probably behind it.
And you get +1 for sneakiness.
I do.
That may come in handy if intrigue is afoot. All right. And then, John, if you want to roll.
Before you found the sword, what did your detractors complain about? I am sharp-tongued. You always respond, even when silence serves you better.
And have the handy skill of provoke. Yeah, so the deal with the Wielder is you've had dreams of a sword and then you found it, and everybody thinks it's mundane, but you know better. Yeah, but before you found the sword, everybody complained about your sharp tongues. And then Dan.
Since coming to Barrow Keep, what have most people said of you? I got a 6. People say that I am fanciful. Wherever I am, my mind and heart are often elsewhere. +1 empathy.
Okay. Yeah, so the hostage is somebody who has been a young adult who has been kind of forced to live at the keep to ensure the good behavior of their family, right? Kind of being held there as a kind of bargaining chip of sorts. Okay, and then Dan, we'll kind of, for the second chart, if you want to go in and roll that.
When you left your family's territory, what was it known for? I rolled a 4. It was known for its trading centers. Your family's land lacks natural resources, but is rich in roads, rail hubs, and ports with several wealthy towns and religious centers. +1 to evaluate.
Okay. All right, and then John.
When the sword first called to you, what did it promise you in your dreams? That is power. Power to make important decisions.
Which gives you a charm. Okay. All right, and then Joe.
What person in the keep is strikingly similar to someone you remember? Why have you avoided meeting them since you returned to the living world? The GM will treat them as a rival. The apothecary, who, much like your former physician, is consumed by solitary study when not seeing patients.
Okay.
That's a +1 to empathy. It says name. Do we do that now?
Yeah. Go on and give the apothecary a name.
Okay. The apothecary goes by the name Treatise.
So spelled TREAITISE,
EAITISE, I believe.
Okay.
Hang on. Treatise.
TREATISE.
I think that's it. TREATISE. Treatise is in theory.
Yeah, because we'll go on. You know, with some of these, we have like other inhabitants of the keep, and it may be that they will be making appearances during the game. So finally, Kyle, where in the keep do you hide?
Behind the kitchen's hearth, where I listen in on the attendants and cooks' gossip. So it's +1 awareness.
Okay, that seems like a handy place to hang out. Okay, and then Kyle, we'll go on and for the third chart, start with you again.
All right. So I have another ally in the keep in addition to my friends.
Mhm.
Let's see. That's the airship Arcaneer, who respects my ability to fit into tight spaces. So that's a +1 repair.
Yeah. So the Arcaneer would be kind of like the chief engineer of the airships, kind of tasked with making sure that they are built sturdily and in good functioning working order. All right, and on to our Revenant in the next chart.
All right. What curse did the murders of you and your knight, the Lost Heir, bring on the keep? No Archon's children have ever succeeded to rule Barrow Keep.
And you get a +1 sword fighting.
Sword fighting.
Oh, and Kyle, I just remembered. What name would you like to give to the airship Arcaneer?
Let me check. There's suggested names somewhere?
Not for these. Um, I know that.
I'll name him Flint then.
Okay. Um, okay. So next on to John.
Okay, what young scholar did you study with in the library? Are they an unlikely friend, secret paramour, or discreet tutor? That's a 5. So, the quiet mystic who taught you the necessity of friends who speak truthfully and have your back. I'm going to name them Olwyn, Olwin. I'll type that in for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that they are a secret paramour as well.
Okay.
But that also adds to my sword fighting. So, oh wait, somehow I just lost my charm. I'll add that back. My sword fighting is quite good.
So now you're up to a plus. Is that +3 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and then on to our hostage.
Someone in the keep lost a loved one to your family shadow war. Who and why do you want this rival's good opinion? I've rolled a 4. We're going to say Six Finger Cornin, the hunter who tried to call off searching for me while I was lost in the woods. Cornin is Cornyn.
Cornyn. Okay.
Let's see here, and I think maybe the hostage is fascinated by wilderness craft, and Six Finger Cornyn seems to be the pinnacle of people who could teach wilderness craft.
And you're going to be a formidable beast tamer, right? With that, right? Because you start off with 2 beast taming, and that'll give you another one add. All right, and then Dan, if you want to, actually, why don't we do this? I have it near the top of the hour. Why don't we go on and take a short break, and maybe we'll come back in 10 minutes, like 10 after the top of the hour. And then, if during that time you want to kind of look at the last charts, because as I say, you do have the one wild card that you can use. So, and it's also fine at this point if you kind of say, well, I think I want to use my wild card for that one that I've already rolled, that would be fine. Okay. But we'll come back at 10 after the hour. Yeah, so I am back, but my camera still seems to be out of whack. I think to resolve it, I would have to turn off and reboot, and I feel like it's probably better just to kind of keep it rolling. I need to figure out, because it's happened with this computer before, and I don't know if it's I mean, something seems to be just tripping it off, and then I know that when I have it restarted, it'll probably be back in operating just fine. So how everybody ready to go with our final rounds? These, I think, the last two charts are some of the more kind of weighty and interesting one, and one of these that kind of brings another player into the fold. Like, you'll establish a relationship with another player character. So I think we're going to work our way back, starting with Dan, and this we get to find out what animal companion you have.
Let me see. You've always been close with animals, disturbing your aunt. She tried to separate you and your beast companion, which followed you to Barrow Keep anyway. My beast companion is a raven. I rolled a 1. I awoke one morning from a nightmare to an old companion's tapping at the window.
Okay.
Bonus to evaluate.
Right. And then John, could find out about your sword.
Yes. What is the nature of the blade you've discovered? It's a berserker's blade. The sword deals +2 damage, but you must test luck to run away. Interesting. I'm just thinking if I want to do my redo here. I'm okay with that. Just looking at what the other options are. I don't remember. With the redo, do you roll again, or you just pick one?
No, with the redo, you would just pick another one on that chart.
Let's see. I don't understand the life drinker one. The blade inflicts -1 skill on a hit, but you must do so once a week, or you don't benefit from rest or rations. So it like slowly knocks your skill level down. Is that what that would do?
It inflicts -1
inflicts.
skill on a hit. I wonder. I mean, part of me wants to say that would be the skill of your opponent. So, like the I don't know, if I look at the bestiary, like the monsters have a skill, which is what they're going to be using to try to attack you with. So it makes them less effective, I think.
It seems like it would be your skill, because all of these other ones, right? There's a pro and a con to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's someone else's skill. That doesn't seem like a con. That's okay though. I think I'm going to choose deep wounds. I just like that one, and the narrative it kind of suggests around it. So I'm going to go with that. When the blade deals damage, you recover that much stamina, but you cannot recover stamina another way.
Right. Normally people recover stamina by resting.
Yeah.
But you have to.
I like this because I think it's gonna. I mean, basically, right? It's going to push me to have to deal damage. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. The life drinker, that is a curious one. I don't. Yeah, I may ask Richard about that one. See if he can kind of illuminate me on the life drinker. Okay. All right. So on to the Revenant.
So for this next one, I want to use my wild card.
Okay.
At night, when others sleep, you sometimes go to the catacombs. Tell us about the spirit who has become your ally there. An ethereal fox form, eyes glowing with silvery fire, sometimes guards within the catacombs, frightening away lesser spirits with its gaze.
Okay.
As a +1 to intimidate. I have named that fox spirit Sylph. The fox spirit has not acknowledged the fact that I have given them a name, nor does it seem to acknowledge the fact that that I seem to like it. But you know, it takes time. It takes time to develop a relationship.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, keep in mind some of these, because you know, if during play, you know, you decided, oh, I have that ally there in the catacombs, right? You know, you may find opportunities to kind of revisit some of these, as I might find opportunities to visit some of these when I'm kind of devising things. Okay, and then on to Kyle.
Yes. In addition to your spellcraft, what innate abilities do you have? I have claws that do damage as a dagger.
Okay. Yeah, and your claw fighting. Did you already have some claw fighting, or is this the first time?
I think it's the first.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So claw fighting, doing damage as dagger. All right, and then Kyle, if you'll start us on the last chart. Okay, and then I guess the way that this will work, because it says like recently the friend on your right. So why don't we just do that in terms of like the character keeper? So this would be Sylph, that would be the friend on your right.
Right. Recently, Sylph helped me hide from someone hunting me. It was Sylph. Why do I suspect that the person hunting me is still watching? So I got a 4, which means drunk one night, an off-duty guard spotted me and my friends and panicked about demons. Sylph detained the guard while I hid. Sylph gains +1 strength, and I gain 1 second sight.
Yeah, so with a lot of these, both the player who is rolling on the chart as well as the friend will get something. Okay, so Sylph, you get one strength from that.
Nice. Can't imagine why the guard saw a talking animal and a ghost and thought, oh, wait, there's a problem.
Yeah, was thinking it had to have been the drink. Yeah. All right. All right. And then next we have our Revenant.
Excellent. So this is me and Cass. When the Heir went missing, where did you and Cass find them? What mysterious thing did they, the Heir, say or do that they claim to be unable to remember? 3. They went to an ancestral god of the Keep's shrine, but the next day you found them in a tavern, briefly unable to remember who they were. Your friend gains +1 carouse. And I gain +1 willpower.
Yeah, I have to. I'm wondering if you know the advanced skill of carouse is kind of intriguing. I wonder if I'm just taking a quick look to see if that is. You know, it's not in the advanced skill description, so that would be interesting to put that into play, though. The carouse skill, very important skill to have. Okay, so we're on to the Wielder now.
All right, let's see what me and Kieran got into. Before dawn today, you and Kieran walked the walls near the abandoned East Tower. What did you see? Why haven't you spoken of it to anyone? We saw the heir of the battlements speaking to a black-cloaked figure. Your friend gains +1 academics. So Kieran gets +1 academics. I get +1 dodge. And I guess we're supposed to answer, why haven't we spoken of it to anyone? So this is the heir of the battle. Oh, the heir on. Sorry, I read that wrong. The heir on the battlements.
Yes.
So it is the
This
same
like
heir.
the-
That was going to
the
be the
Archon's
question.
heir.
Well, I don't think I've spoken of it because I am also a child of the Archon, and I'm the younger child, and so I don't think it'd be well received for me to go and essentially be tattling on my older sibling. I probably stressed this to Kieran as well. As like, we can't tell anyone.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the abandoned East Tower. So right, the East Tower has been kind of closed off. There's obviously some kind of curse or dark cloud or kind of mystery that exists about like that East Tower. All right, and then we have our hostage, and right, this would apply to Cross, right,
Yes.
as the friend.
Yeah. Cross and I discovered an assassination attempt against the heir. What evidence did I see of my aunt's involvement? Oh, I didn't read that part. I rolled a 2, so the hunting accident. The stag was a lesser demon. How did you, your friend, how did me, Cross, and my beast companion turn it aside? Cross gains +1 religion. I gain +1 second sight. I wonder if, since Cross is of this sort of otherworldly nature, like Cross was able to interact with this stag, but didn't know the ins and outs of like wrangling an animal, and so there was a montage of Cross trying to wrangle the stag as Kieran shouted instructions.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Sweet. So be sure to take +1 religion. And evidence of my aunt's involvement. That's interesting.
Yeah, because your aunt is the aunt is the one who sent you.
Yeah, I wonder. Let's see here. Stag as a lesser demon. I wonder if there was like a totem, something binding this creature to this plane. We'll say a sort of, maybe this is what Cross was finally able to remove to allow this demon to diffuse and go back to its preferred location. And this totem bears an insignia that Kieran recognizes from his youth and living with his aunt.
Yeah, and the aunt is kind of interesting because like the aunt sent you, but it says but you can only contact your aunt via her emissary, but there's like some sense that possibly you could get in touch with your aunt if you needed to.
Interesting.
And right, it with the hostage, it says, right, you were given many liberties in Barrow Keep. So it's not like you're being kind of jailed, right? I mean, you're not confined to a jail. I mean, you're kind of confined to Barrow Keep in this area, right? But you're also able to kind of wander the keep and right, you and the understanding is that you all are friends on some level. We can in the course of play decide how close you are or you know, that you know, you may be frenemies or things like that, but you all know of each other, and are kind of acquainted with each other. Yeah, on the character keeper then, so some of you have claw fighting, which I think is defined as the equivalent of a dagger. So in terms of that chart, so the way this works is that if you happen to get into a fight and are using your claw or your weapon, there's a chart at the beginning of Troika where if you kind of win the roll and get the score damage, you roll a 6-sided dice, and the damage is not the roll, but it's the corresponding number that appears on the chart. So the dagger, which I guess would be the same as a knife, I think that's the closest that I see.
There is also an option in the drop-down menu for weapons for small beast.
Yes. Yeah, which is yeah, it's generally, except at the high end, the knife can do more. So yeah, it almost seems though with like claws, it should be a beast thing, right? That seems kind of more appropriate to me. So let's go on and use that. So like the 1 roll would give you 2 damage, a 2 roll would give you 2, a 3 roll gives you 3, as does a 4. So it goes 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I was kind of curious, we have sword fighting, we've got some claw fighting. Oh yeah, so I was kind of curious as to, because I mean, it would be possible for a character not to have any kind of weapon ability, which would be fine, but all of you have that. And I was also, let me just double check in terms of the rules. We've got the beast taming ability. Oh, and with respect to spells, because at least one of you has some spell ability, correct? Like spell mirror cells. So a spell will have a number attached to it, which is how much stamina it costs to cast the spell. And then it also ends up being like an advanced skill check, being a roll under. Yeah, so mirror cells. In the minds of others, the wizard appears to be, in fact, 3 wizards. All 3 perform the same actions in unison, offering attackers only a 1 in 3 chance of targeting the right wizard, right? So you have all these, like a little mini hall of mirrors that instantly appears. And that comes with a 3 stamina cost. And as I say, normally stamina, you know, you recover when you get rest. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And as I say, I think at the beginning here, the inventory is not going to be especially crucial. But if you set out from the keep to go do something, we probably want to spend a little bit of time kind of thinking about the inventory, or if it, you know, kind of crosses your mind, oh, I want to kind of go there and I want to be sure that I'm, you know, I get a candle or a lantern or rope or whatever, you can kind of add it to the inventory. And I think that the kind of basic sense is that, right, you have, you know, basic accoutrements of the keep are there and generally available to you, right? If you needed a mop to go clean something up, they're not going to miss it, right? If you you'll know where to kind of get something like that. All right, what I would like to do next is in the shared drive, there is a PDF that says Archon, Consort, and Heir. You know, and if you scroll down, right, it's what the zine says is that there are 3 essential non-player characters in every Barrow Keep campaign. The new Archon, and then the newly crowned Consort and the Heir. The GM can roll for them before the first session, or the group can roll collaboratively while you know, making the characters during session 1. So I'm opting for the second one. I have not rolled these in advance. I figured it would be kind of interesting to see what transpires with this. So Dan, you just rolled. So John, do you want to roll and tell us about the new Archon?
Sure. That is a 2. So the new Archon is a former diplomat, beloved by the people.
I can notate this. All right. And then Joe, if you want to tell us about the newly crowned consort.
Absolutely. Ooh. Sorry, just making myself a note. The newly crowned consort. After the Archon's first consort died unexpectedly 4 years prior, the Archon swore never to remarry. Eventually, the district's aristocrats and guilds wore down their resolve. A year ago, a new consort was named and crowned. This is a former professor, she, her, who wishes to travel and study. Oh. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, and we should also give these names. So, so John, with those names for the Archon, does any one of those suggested names strike your fancy?
I like Venick.
Hmm.
That sounds like a former diplomat.
Okay, Venick. All right, and Joe, what about for the consort?
Oh gosh darn it. Nicole.
Okay. Yeah, so we have yeah, so we have this new Archon, kind of interesting. Yeah, so not connected by blood or marriage to any of the previous ruling families, but people like the guy. Maybe they didn't like the old families, right? And like we're kind of liking the new blood, and we got this professor consort, and then see, Kyle, you want to tell us about the Heir?
Sure. It's the Archon and late consort's austere, haughty, but generous eldest child, she, her, spends most of their time with a spiritual advisor. How about Albina?
Okay. Right. So and John, you are a sibling, correct?
Yes, I would be Albina's younger brother.
Okay.
I'm 19, and so yeah, I was doing the math. It says that the new Archon's been here for at least a decade. So I would have been, under 9 whenever we came here and they were named.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is not the current consort, right? This is the previous consort.
Right.
Right. All right.
So what was their name?
Okay. Yeah, so we have Albina and what the previous consort. We could go with one of the other suggested names, like Vertia, maybe. I don't know where these names come from. They kind of sound like names, but they're also, none of them names I've, Vertia. I guess Albina. Yeah. All right. So we've got that established, and so as I say, these 3 non-player characters are, always kind of there in the Barrow Keep setting, but they may be seen, right? I think right, that it was the Heir, right, that was seen on the battlements near the East Tower, but that they're also a lot of times kind of on some level kind of shadowy, mysterious figures, right, that you don't necessarily all kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis. Right?
Yeah, now that I know Albina spends most of her time with a spiritual advisor, I would guess that when we saw Albina on the East Tower with a black cloaked figure, well, that's probably the spiritual advisor.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, yeah.
Spiritual advisor.
Yeah, that's always, it has a lot of like hooks that are kind of established here, right? Things that you say, that would be, potentially interesting to follow up on. All right, so just in terms of fleshing things out a little bit more, I came up with just myself a list of questions. I have 5 of them. There are 4 of you, so I'm going to just kind of rattle these off, and one of the questions we can leave unanswered. Or if you want to know the answer, maybe I'll jump in and provide the answer to it. But okay, I'll just and I'm going to ask these. These are just kind of like establishing questions, more kind of world building questions, kind of give us additional ideas, potential hooks. One of the questions I came up with was just thinking about the name Barrow Keep. I came up with the question, many legends exist concerning Barrow Keep's name, especially the barrow, right? This kind of burial mound. What has your character heard about the supposed barrow, which gives Barrow Keep its name? Does anybody want to? Joe, you have an idea?
Oh, I think I've heard a lot about what gives the barrow its name. I think every spirit in the catacombs has an idea of what gives Barrow Keep its name. So I've heard a lot of different stories. I think the most consistent one I hear is that when this keep was built centuries and centuries ago, by like a marauding king out of the past. It was named Barrow Keep because he built this keep near the barrow of all of the enemies that he slew to win this land.
Okay. I like that. Okay. So yeah, so the enemies, the slain enemies. Yeah, because I think the way this is set up, like this keep is really old, right? And so, right, and has probably had this name, right, for a long, long time. Yeah, so that, you know, that kind of goes back into the dim recesses of history, right? All right, so here's another question. What is unique or special about the geography, flora, or fauna where Barrow Keep is located? So some kind of added interesting detail about this area or the plants or animals that reside here.
I volunteer Dan.
Who's our Beastmaster? Is that that's
let's see here.
anything you've noticed about beasts around Barrow Keep, or a particular beast that
Let's say, you know, I think maybe there is just in comparison to other places, animals just have a slightly higher level of intelligence here. Like
okay.
there is very obvious communication between animals within a species and maybe outside of their species. So there is a level of intelligence that is more apparent than other places.
Okay. Maybe something in the water, or who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's those slain enemies. They have some aura that kind of gives you know, something to the animals. All right. All right. How about this question? In your mind, what is the most dangerous or unsettling thing about living in Barrow Keep? Maybe something that keeps you up at night when you're trying to go to sleep. I can give you my other questions, and you can hold these over to the side. The two of you haven't answered one. I had this question. Aside from the East Tower, what is a place which children growing up around Barrow Keep are told to avoid? And then finally, I had this question. What is an activity which adolescents and young adults living in and around Barrow Keep are especially fond of?
Would you mind repeating that last one?
Yeah, so the last one was, what is an activity which adolescents or young adults living around Barrow Keep are especially fond of? There's that question. Then, you know, a place aside from the East Tower which children are, you know, growing up are warned against, right? It's like, never go there. And then also something that you find dangerous or unsettling about living in Barrow Keep.
Let's say for the dangerous location, there are old crypts that lead into the hills, but they're not maintained, right? They're from generations past, and so people warn children not to go into there because there could be cave-ins, there could be all kinds of issues. Of course, children, that naturally grows in their mind to, oh, well, the reason cave-ins happen are because of, you know, demons and witches. There's rumors that witches live down there and
And go.
All manner of underground creepy things.
Okay. Do you imagine that these crypts in the hills, is it like one particular area of the hills, or is it just like anytime you kind of wander out there, you can come across potentially a crypt?
I think that there's a vast network, and it's probably not fully cataloged of where there may be entrances and exits, right? And it's essentially a maze that's underground, so you never know when you could be out in the woods and stumble across, oh my gosh, look, here's a hole that falls into the crypt.
Okay. All right. So we have two questions left, and Kyle, you're the one who hasn't answered one yet. So the two left are, and this is in the mind of your character, right? What is the most dangerous or unsettling thing about living in Barrow Keep, or what is an activity which adolescents or young adults living in and around Barrow Keep are especially fond of?
Well, I'm a familiar, so I guess the most unsettling thing would be some kind of threat to a familiar. Could there be a bunch of exorcists around or something?
Yeah, well, we already have that right, spiritual mystic person. So
we could be like in the middle of a religious awakening, right? That is perhaps pushing against some of the old magical standards.
and the familiar would find that potentially a threat.
Yeah. Sorry, I assumed that Cross was an animal. Are you actually, or are you a little homunculus, or?
I'm not sure. I don't think the rule book says.
Yeah, and I think that's up. Kyle, that's up to you to define how what your appearance would be like. I know when I one time I played this and somebody was a familiar, and they took on the form of an imp. I think that was partly motivated though by one of the roles that gave him flight, right? So he had to kind of like imagine I'm some thing with that bat-like wings. One of them has, right on that one, has gills. That kind of gives it an amphibious quality. But you rolled claws for that. So yeah, a familiar, right? It could be an animal, but it could be some type of
I guess I'll say I'm a talking cat or something, maybe with thumbs to make it a little bit easier to get around.
Okay, I'll do that. So a talking cat with opposable thumbs.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, so I think to kind of wrap things up, what I would like to do is this will be just kind of like a cinematic introduction to your character. I'd like you to kind of imagine your character I'm gonna kind of set the weather for us and the time of year. Let's imagine a morning at the start of winter. Maybe like the first snowfall has just happened, and the sky is still gray. And let's just say it's aside from that though, it's kind of like a normal morning. You know what? I want you to go on and describe your character, but tell us, like, what would your character be doing on a winter morning? First snowfall has fallen. There's a nice kind of carpet around. What would we see your character doing? And at a both what they're doing as well as if you want to give us a visual. I'm curious with the Revenant. What is the Revenant up to in the morning?
So what we see is this small squirrel with mostly gray fur. They have sort of a darker gray on their back and legs. It almost looks like a coat, and sort of a shock of white fur on their head. And they are running through the trees near the keep. They're sort of jumping from branch to branch, stopping, running again. And then when they get to a point where they're sure they're not being watched, they just sort of sit down and go, and then they start running again.
That is our Revenant. Now is that the Revenant's usual form? I mean, or does the Revenant take different forms?
I think the Revenant... I think there's a couple of times where I've been able to change into a different form during the day, but it's almost exclusively a squirrel. And I am still just slightly indignant about the fact that I have to be a squirrel during the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just like, really, a squirrel? Couldn't have even been a crow or a cat. I had to be a squirrel.
Okay. Now at night, you return to your own shape.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to describe what like your evening form is, or do you want to hold off on that too?
I can describe my evening form because I think this is how most people will think of me, who know me. My evening form is a very androgynous looking young person, like looks to be about 15, but has a very like sunken pallor and very sunken eyes that are sort of deep dark color, wearing formal clothes that were obviously in style a century ago, but now are hopelessly out of date, and just sort of constantly walking around with a vacant expression and muttering about the fire.
And that's just like a dim memory that you have. Like you said, the fire is
the fire. Yeah, I have this dim. I'm not sure whether that's like from my life or from what happened after I died.
Mm-hmm.
But fire tends to be associated with my character a lot.
Okay. All right. So there's our Revenant. Maybe we'll kind of go back and forth between our fully human characters and the more kind of legendary mythic characters. So John, tell us about the Wielder on this winter morning.
I think this winter morning we see Cass at the stables, readying a horse. He's strapping his sword to the stirrups of it, and then Albina comes around the side of a different horse and looks at him and says, you don't need that. We're just going hunting. What are you going to do with a sword? He kind of just shrugs his shoulders. Says, He's got some winter furs on, and you kind of see him like glancing back at the castle where you can see kind of a fire back inside. He looks back over. do I really need to come along? I hate hunting. Why do I need to do this? Now being she's like, Dad said so. Dad wants you to go with us. So just be quiet. It'll be done. We'll be back before you know it. And again, he just kind of shrugs and keeps getting his horse ready. Just looks out at that big snowy woods. And a shiver runs up his spine.
Yes. All right. I like that. Yeah, and always needing that sword, regardless of the situation. You're close to that sword. Yeah. All right. So then we have our lost familiar. Now, I guess normally, like you would wake up, and since you hang out behind the kitchen's hearth, at least initially when you woke up, we're probably warmed by that fire. But where would we see you? I mean, would you still be there at the kitchen's hearth where you typically hang out, or would you be on the move somewhere?
I think I'm still behind the hearth, kind of got a place perched up kind of high with the hearth, keeping me warm and just keeping an eye on everyone, listening in all the conversations and gossip.
Okay. Anything this morning that catches your ear as kind of an interesting bit of gossip? Normally it says on the attendants and the cooks gossip.
It's probably nothing super important, just like who's going to be spending the winter in the keep this year versus like on their own estate, like which families are coming, who they brought with them, that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's potentially intriguing though, right? Even if it's not specific, but that like occasionally maybe somebody who isn't normally at the keep, but maybe for the winter, right? On occasion they get somebody significant or important or intriguing who kind of ends up residing there during the winter. All right, and then finally the hostage.
I think Kieran is helping the staff bring in fresh firewood to the what I'll call the main guest house. I'm not 100% on the terminology, and probably neither is Kieran. And he's got a little wheelbarrow, wooden wheelbarrow with a bunch of split logs, and he breaks a stick off of one, looks around, there's this raven. All right, we've been working on this, and he throws it, and the raven goes to it, and he says, all right, you bring it back. You bring it back. And the raven just pecks at it. Pecks. No, okay. You're going to learn. You got to fetch. And maybe the raven takes flight and flies at Kieran enough as though it's going to wing him and knock Kieran off his feet.
So you have a saucy raven.
I guess so.
Has a little bit of an attitude. Okay. But still obviously attached to you, right? Oh
yeah.
After all, it flew off to Barrow Keep and tapped at your window. All right. So I think with that, we will call it an evening. What I will then be doing is I've been taking notes. I have the recording to kind of go on, but I try to then kind of let some of those characters, little details of your backstory steep a little bit, and from that kind of try to kind of weave something together, or kind of I guess I would say more kind of give some situations, right, that would be kind of presented to you, and hopefully create a kind of intriguing brew from that.